I'd like to take a minute on this Greg Cote Tuesday to talk to you a little bit about fathers and brothers and sons and the treasure chests of concealed love that can be unearthed around men and their oafy masculinities if you care enough to do the digging. Perhaps you've heard me say that the greatest professional blessing I've ever known for 8 years on ESPN was getting old next to my old man on your television. That whole thing was ridiculous. It made us closer than we've ever been, and I honestly can't believe that I got to do any of that in his second language, no less, and the gratitude in it will overwhelm me on the days I sink into thinking that one day Papi will be gone. I celebrated his 81st birthday with him this last weekend, surrounded by photographs of the youngest son he lost a year ago. So mortality has been on my mind a lot more than I would like. But if you really make me think about it, I might say that I've had only one professional blessing that rivals working with my old man. And it's working, believe it or not, with the other old man I've had the blessing of sharing with you over these many years, Greg Cote. I've worked at his side a lot longer than I did with Papi, nearly 40 years, since I was 19, literally a teenager. And it's come with a lot more laughs, comfortable and proud as Greg is of his endless river of oddities. He's stubborn, he's weird, he's loyal, he's loving. And he's made me feel like family from the very start. Our relationship began, you could say, before I even met him. I still remember that story that Cote wrote about former University of Miami wide receiver Michael Irvin and his late father and his late father's hat. It didn't merely make me want to be a better writer, that story. It made me know for sure that I wanted to be a writer at all. To me, Greg was an idea and an inspiration before he was a person. He had touch, and he made me feel before he was someone I could either touch or feel. I don't know that I had ever envied another writer before reading that story about Irvin's love and loss. Cody's grace with words, a little poetry, a little song, a lot of feeling. We tease him too much on Tuesdays, but it's not an overstatement to say that this man genuinely taught me, guided me, inspired me, and helped me better understand what I wanted from writing, work, and life. When I got to the University of Miami, very much searching, I'd stand way down below as a student and see him up high in the press box at football and baseball games, closer to the big lights where my dreams were, and I would wish that I was him. Quite literally, I looked up to him from the start. He was my very first friend at the Miami Herald, back when I was scared, super scared. I was an intern. He told a joke in my ear in the Herald cafeteria and then wrapped an arm around me and insisted I'd come sit with all my childhood idols. You do not forget the people who make you feel like you belong. You do not forget the people who make you feel like you've arrived. Belonging, arriving, these are things I associate with home. And my closest and most personal access to home professionally often has Greg Cote, if not holding the keys to the house, at least drinking a beer on the couch. Greg is, as they say of the deepest friendships, the family I chose. You see it and hear it every Tuesday, whether he's dancing with the golden oldies or missing the hard net workout. But you would have seen it and heard it any time we were together at any point over the last 35 years, since the first day we met. And he made me feel like newspapers were exactly where I needed to live. He was part mentor and part guide, and he made it real simple for me. All I had to do was follow the laughter. Just keep following the laughter. You're getting warmer, Dan. Warmer to all the things you want. Just follow the laughter. Keep following the laughter. It'll get you to where you want to be, where you want to live, where you want to work, to the people you want to be around, to the people you want to share your life with, to be the man you want to be, the one who can protect your friend and his son and their family and your family as everyone grows old together. Just follow the laughter. It'll do more than set you free. It'll make you feel free too. Really feel it. and all the places where gratitude lives so deeply that when you press on it, it will overflow around the heart and it'll leak right out of your eyes. The very best things in life are pretty simple sometimes. I like being around him, always, especially when he's annoying me like a big brother might, because he makes me laugh, and that makes me feel better. It's medicine for me and you. You see it and know it and feel it in a way that doesn't even need to be said to our most loyal listeners, the one who feel like they actually know us and what we're actually about, because they actually do. You can't fake what Tuesdays are around here. Cote and I did a South Beach session about our relationship, and I would urge you to listen to it. What gets brought out when we're together will do more justice to our friendship than I'll be able to do here sitting alone. But Cote is, as you know, past the syrup of all this, a wonderful flaw disguised as a human being. Self-involved beyond all reason, belly full of beer cans, washes his hair with shampoo in the pool, doesn't just throw out the stinky deck shoes he has worn without socks for 30 years, but buries them in the backyard in an ornate funeral. My wife will tell you, there might not be anyone else in the world who makes me instantly happier right upon sight. I wanted to share something else with you now, though, as we spend this entire year celebrating the 20th anniversary of this show, celebrating 20 years of friendship with each other and with you on the air. I've been scared a lot the last few years, a lot, more than I've ever been. It really is a terrible place to live, in that dark, inside of a certain terror. And I will tell you now exactly when that fear first started, long before my brother died, this creeping sense of mortality that haunts and was never around before I turned 50. I remember the distinct cold blowing through me right after we left ESPN, when I was still in the bowels of a Clevelander that was falling apart with busted pipes and faulty bathrooms and an assortment of rots brought by living for years near the sea. Cote, who had already had a tumor removed from his chest, would not stop coughing. Could not stop coughing. My good friend was having trouble breathing and sleeping and was having trouble hiding it as well, and too stubborn to go to the doctors about it to boot. He'd try to hide it so poorly during the pandemic that he would pass out coughing on the floor. So afraid was he of being seen in public as a viral strain. On the phone, in the studio, that cough felt like an alarm for me. I don't know how much more overt a sound would have to be to warn you that time is short. This was very much a siren, a warning, not to value each moment. I couldn't see that from there. Death hadn't visited yet. Grief hadn't yet left its mark. So the lesson then wasn't to value each moment. It was to fear that any might be the last. And fear and gratitude could have trouble living in the same place if you aren't conscious about it. You can choose to run away from that fear, as I did at the time, or you can choose to run into it with the knowledge that you don't have to choose dark when there's still light. I didn't quite know when I lost my brother that I'd look up and realize that there was another who was there all along. I don't need to tell you or Greg that I love him. You know this, he knows this, you feel it, he feels it, I feel it. But we've got enormous plans around his 70th birthday this month, as our show celebrates 20 years together, and Greg and I celebrate being together almost twice that long. So happy 70th birthday to Greg Cote, my beloved friend, your beloved friend, our beloved friend. We do not know how much time we have left with any of the people we love, but we're going to celebrate this one like we know in our hearts that filled too deeply with love and loss, that we aren't promised anything beyond the joy of today. That's the gift we get to share together with this lovable old man every Tuesday and every day, but especially on his birthday. The joy with gratitude and love together of getting to open the present.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. man, please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. We take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, not so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, right girls, let her tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that, stop that, stop that.
And happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Next time, just say happy birthday.
Yeah, Greg, I texted you happy birthday this morning. Don't
means a lot.
let that whole piece overshadow my message to you.
No, your text was heartfelt.
Yeah.
Really
Happy to see that you're still with us.
Right.
I walked in late and I thought you were dead.
Midway through that, I was worried. I was glad to see you in the seat.
Yeah.
I think we said this is his last birthday, so enjoy it.
Dan certainly made it feel that way.
He doesn't think there's going to be a 71.
Sorry to tell you, Greg. You're
Monologue, more like monologue.
I heard that joke in my ear while I was doing it. You know how hard it is to do that while Stugotz is telling Billy monologue. And when I hear him complaining, what? There are 4 minutes left?
I thought Mike Lupica was going to pick up where you left off.
Was your editor out sick or something?
Yeah, it was a little wordy, I have to admit. But, midway through that, I'm thinking to myself, this is very well spoken, well said, well written. I want this guy to do my eulogy when that time
He just
comes.
did.
Yeah, it just happened.
Yeah, but
It's gonna get
save the
replayed.
date, though. Save
No.
the date for my eulogy.
Right.
Well, it's this year, so.
Yeah.
Hopefully
I did not say anywhere in there. That was not a hot take prediction that he's going to die within the next year.
You
that is
said
not,
celebrate
Like it was,
this birthday
yeah.
because the next one's not guaranteed.
Celebrate all birthdays because none of the next ones are guaranteed.
Yeah,
So we're all
the
dying
truth.
now, not just Greg.
Tell you what, when I turn 39, skip me.
There's only one of you I wish would die. I don't know. Could
Let's
be
guess. I
Seems
feel like
like
it's
a
me.
threat.
Could be anybody. Could be anybody.
HR?
Yeah.
Could be
Flip that?
anybody.
Wow.
Could be directed at anybody.
It was directed at me.
No,
You piece that together,
I
huh?
did, yeah.
not
I mean,
necessarily.
listen, this is a hell of a 20th anniversary I'm having. I mean, Dan is having sex with everyone but me. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And talking about Boog, what a great show they could have had. Greg Cote was his first choice. Listen, you're stuck with me. I'm the best thing that ever happened to you. I don't care what you say. I mean,
Studio's got a cuck chair, and you're in it, pal.
For your 70th birthday, we give you the greatest gift possible, a star dolphin arrested outside the stadium.
Yeah, that's the gift that keeps on giving. I got to write more about that right after the show today. It'll be online late this afternoon. So your birthday gift to me could be clicking on that column. Doesn't cost you anything.
all right.
Now, Dad,
it might. What?
you were disappointed in me for not having Dan appear in the Greg Cote show for your birthday episode, and I didn't because I knew, he was going to say some nice stuff for you here. Does it now make sense why I did not have Dan on the Greg Cote show?
Yeah, we had a cavalcade of guests. Listen to the show because on the Greg Cote show, which is the new episode's out now, we do a birthday celebration of me as well as I talk a lot about the Dolphins win and the Tyreek Hill stuff.
I didn't really ask you to plug the episode.
Wow, that
I
was just straight promotion you went into.
it,
He
yeah,
wanted
I
to
mean-
talk to you about some of the content around it that you probably got mad at him because I wasn't on that episode. You went straight to
Sales mode.
antiseptic promotion
Yeah.
of what's on your podcast.
Do you remember the question I asked you?
Yeah, I get it. I sort of get it. I still think, maybe he could have given me a 30
You wanted to hear that twice?
You wanted more.
No.
You wanted more from
30
Dan.
second version.
Well, no, hold on a second.
There is no 30-second
In Greg's
version.
defense, it's like me getting my daughter a PS5 for her birthday. Like, it's Greg's show for his birthday, be on his podcast.
Yeah.
And instead,
Yeah.
you're like, let's put it here.
That's what I'm thinking. But my executive producer of my show wouldn't do it.
Well, I knew how long that was. I was like, it's going to be redundant.
Well, I wouldn't expect that. I mean, that was truly, that left me verklempt. I mean, that was.
Did you
hard
cry
go.
at all? Tear up?
I naturally tear, just because
What?
I have my mother's eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
And, Ruth,
Literally?
Yeah.
Ruth Doogie used to have tearing eyes. Not related to emotion or crying. She would her eyes would get all moist and tear, and so do mine. I'm on the road today, a hellish trip to the studio. Terrible, just extra bad. I'm following Waze, and it let me down. and my gas light comes on, so I'm sweating. I'm rolling down my windows. I'm all clammy.
And I called him. I'm like, Dad, you don't need, like, you got 38 miles on your range. You're
Right.
good. You have
And-
16 miles to go.
And meanwhile, cars not passing me by because we're all going so slow. You're looking over, you're seeing another guy stop just like you are, and I'm practically tearing. They think I'm crying because I'm stuck in traffic. But we got here okay.
Traffic made you cry more than the monologue?
Well, I teared a little bit.
Well, he has Ruth's eyes.
I teared.
Right, he has Ruth's eyes. I'm not even certain he was crying during the monologue.
Greg,
I mean,
follow the
just-
laughter.
Yeah.
Ruth's-
Whatever you do, follow the laughter.
Ruth's eyes, yeah.
Avoid the light and follow the laughter.
No, the monologue was emotional. The
No,
whole day
Mike.
is emotional.
No, Mike. You follow the laughter and into the light. You don't avoid the
Well,
light.
no, avoid the light.
the
You
light.
already had him
You
in the light.
had him.
Not go to the word
No
light.
lights.
You want him to die, so that monologue's
the
better.
light.
Walk
No,
the
he wants
light.
me to die.
The light
You made
is
that
where
clear.
you go laughing.
No,
It's definitely me.
Either way, just say follow the light
I
7.
didn't say who I wanted to die.
All right, follow the laughter and do it 17 times over.
listen, going into the light is a metaphor for dying, so I don't think I'm going to look for the light right now.
Live
Yeah.
in front of the light, knowing that you might die laughing. Don't
Live
avoid
like you
the
were
light.
dying.
No, be the light.
Get the warmth from the light.
I'd rather be the light.
How about happy birthday? I mean,
Yeah, it's
Does
fine.
anybody actually die laughing? Has that ever happened?
Put it on the poll,
yeah.
please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Has anyone actually died
Good question.
laughing?
I want to, with my last breath, I want to go.
And you have fainted laughing a couple
You
That's
control
almost
that, I
happened
think.
here.
Right.
Yeah. He wants Taylor to walk into the light. By the way,
Yeah,
It
there's
could be
like,
anybody.
subtle difference.
there's like 24 things that you could die doing that I would say he died doing what he loved.
Yeah.
Plugging his podcast, talking about himself.
Miller Lite.
Being the center of attention would absolutely be high on the list of how it is that Greg Cote wants to die. Center of attention with Jimmy Buffett singing nearby.
Yeah.
Huh.
Too bad you couldn't arrange that.
Jimmy's tied
Should
up.
have gotten to him sooner.
Yeah, I failed. I'm
Yeah, you
sorry
did.
that we failed.
Yeah.
But for your birthday, I again will say we give you the gift of a star Dolphin receiver being arrested in the safest place that he could have been outside of the field.
Detained, by the way.
Yeah, he was not arrested.
Forgiveness. Once you're
It's a fine.
once you're on your stomach with your handcuffs behind your back,
Yeah.
you're being arrested. Like that's
Detained.
It's no,
Yeah.
it's a place between detained and
It's
arrested.
detained. When they close the cell, you've been arrested.
I'm gonna say
I
that
think
that
that-
felt like an arrest.
I think it's the Miranda rights, but maybe it's the cell door.
Yeah, I think when they close the cell door, you've been jailed.
Okay.
But that
Yeah.
feels like you've been arrested.
You're right,
I
totally
think it's
fair.
one of those
Yeah.
things that, like, if it feels like you're being arrested, then you can say you've been arrested.
yeah, it did look like an arrest for about 10 seconds.
I'm kind of wondering how that all ended because, like, we saw the escalation. We saw Calais in there. We saw Jonu in there. Like, we saw all of it. We didn't see how they, like, finally settled on, like, okay, you're free to go.
We're gonna play some of this because they knew he was a Dolphin. There is that body cam as well, but this can be and is to me both appalling and watching the video totally unsurprising how it is that escalated that way. It's how those things escalate. I remember Stugotz, the Spike Lee movie, Do the Right Thing, in college. I had a very sort of antiseptic childhood in Miami. It was just ethnic with my culture. It did not have all of the ethnicities of Miami. So when I'm watching Do the Right Thing and Spike Lee, I'm being introduced to how something can escalate when there are a lot of tensions, and then at the end, the system falls on the black guy and Radio Raheem is dying in the street because he looks like a menace the way Calais Campbell might look like a menace if that kept escalating. Now that we have all of the video on these things, and I don't know who Andy Slater's sources are in the police department, but he's got good ones. Like in the history of this market, I don't know that we've had outside of Edna Buchanan somebody who's got the police sources that this person has. But now we've all seen what it is that happened here, and I'd like to examine it together because I don't recognize totally those accents. I'm not good at telling Hispanic accents apart, but it sounds like the police officers are people who learn the language in this country. It sounds like I recognize enough of the accents to be like, wait a minute, these people are not necessarily from here. They learned English while here after coming from somewhere else is what I heard in the accent.
That's not what I heard. I heard your traditional Miami accent.
So let's see. I want to examine this together, and and I want to go over what it is that is in this video and audio.
Yeah, not a language barrier here.
Keep your window down. Hey, keep your window down. Keep your window down. I'm gonna get you out of the car. As a matter of fact, get out of the car.
Give me that.
Get out of the car.
Give me that. We'll break that freaking window.
Get out of the car. Get out of the car right now. We're not playing this game. Get out.
Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. What part of that don't you understand? Hey, Drew, I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting arrested. I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting out, bro. God damn, twin. When we tell you to do something, you do it. You understand?
I'm getting out,
You
bro.
understand? Not what you want, but what we tell you.
I'm getting
You're a little
out.
f***ing confused.
I'm getting out, bro.
Too late.
Chill,
Too
bro.
late.
All right, bro. Take
Too
me to
late.
jail, bro. Do what you gotta do, bro.
We are.
Hold on, twin. Hold on, bro. I just had surgery on my knee. I just had surgery on my knee, bro. I just had surgery
Really?
on
What
my
a
knee, bro.
coincidence. I just heard you in your ears when we told you to put the window down.
Chill, bro. Chill, bro. Hey, Joe New, bro.
Back up.
Hey, call Drew. Call Drew. Call Drew.
Man, they got Tyreek. The cops over here beating on him,
Listen.
man. They over here beating on Tyreek,
Listen, big man. Who's the driver?
This my car.
All right, move.
All right, I'll take that.
You gotta move right now.
I'm coming, man.
Let me have your license. You're gonna have to get too.
I'm coming.
Let me have your
I'm
license.
coming.
You're gonna
I'm
have to.
leaving.
Let me
I'm
have your
leaving.
license.
I'm leaving.
I'm not playing. Let me have your
I'm
license.
leaving. Yo, what's
your
going
license
on?
right now.
What's going on?
Your license
man?
right now. You're not gonna give me your license.
Hey,
the car. You're not gonna give me your license.
I'm leaving.
Let me have your
I'm
license.
leaving,
Your
man.
license
I'm
right now.
leaving. Sir, you want me to
Hey,
leave?
your license right now.
I'm leaving.
Or I'm gonna lock you up. Your license right now.
Serve and protect.
Trained in de-escalation. I mean, you mentioned before the video that you could see it escalate. It escalates by the dudes that are supposed to de-escalate the situation, and the
Right.
calmest ones are the guys on the receiving end of it.
You have Tyreek saying, hey, just give me a ticket. I have to get to work. He is saying, hey, whatever I did wrong, fine. Write the ticket up. I need to get
Look,
to work.
this is going to be met where we are in this country by a whole lot of people not hearing it the way that you just heard it, saying, no, Tyreek has to go, yes, sir, no, sir, right off the top and help. Like, there are a whole lot of people listening to this who aren't saying that the escalation started with the police. They will say that the escalation started with Tyreek Hill not completely obeying in a subservient fashion police who were going to abuse their power if he hit them with arrogance because of everything that drives up there. Speeding, black, expensive car, and God knows the amount of hostility those motorcycle cops have because they're short and motorcycle cops. Like, no joke, there's a whole lot of shit happening before we get to where it is that they have a divide between what's inside Tyreek Hill's car and what's outside his car. And many, many people will not change their mind by seeing that video and say, oh, Tyreek was wronged there. They will say, no, right off the top, you obey. But policing began with slave chasing. That's how police began. And we've created, around football somehow, blackballing the quarterback who told us, can we stop that? Can we stop that and things that work like that? And then the answer is no, we can't stop it. Get out of the league, Kaepernick. And now Tyreek Hill is on CNN. He's calling his agent in the middle of that. Drew Rosenhaus is going to be here shortly to talk to us. But, Greg, your thoughts on what it is that you're seeing there?
Yeah, I was told that when he referred to Drew, the Dolphins director of security who deals with police matters like this also has the first name Drew, so he may have been referring to him. But I think Tyreek did one thing that legit was wrong, which is rolled up his darkly tinted window when the cop was talking to him. I think that, in retrospect, was wrong. But overriding all that, I think this is a gross... Tyreek was caught driving while black. That was his crime. And it was a gross exaggeration, overreaction by the police. I thought it was a plain abuse of power. I didn't think... When they put him so quickly and so forcefully to the ground, that's how George Floyd started, right? Okay? 10 minutes later... one of their boots could have been on his neck. I mean, this kind of thing gets overblown quick and turns deadly quick, and that's why the reaction to this is not an overreaction. This is pretty serious and pretty damning to the Miami-Dade Police Department, in my opinion.
It really is. It's gross. It's disgusting. It's an abuse of power. But when Tyreek says afterwards, after the fact, I rolled up my window because people walking by, people coming by would have taken pictures of me. Are you okay with that? Are you more okay with that?
This is what I would say to you, okay? Trying to be maximum understanding to police officers who, in my mind and my experience in Miami, do not deserve this kind of maximum understanding. It's a difficult job. And I understand why you would see Calais Campbell and find him threatening. And I also understand when a window gets rolled up and I can't see in there, are you going for something?
Yes.
Like, I can understand in Miami how you would arrive at, you need to roll that window down because I need to see what it is I need to see that's happening inside your car. But their job isn't to do all of the things that instigate that to a higher level. And I can also say, hey, Tyreek, you need to not be arrogant in that spot. I can say that, but they can treat him like a human being once faced with that arrogance instead of doing what they did, which is show everybody, no, we have the power over here. You don't have the power to do anything that you want here. You will listen to us. You will obey. Let's get the other sound where it becomes clear from nearby that they knew who they were arresting. So this isn't even a matter of ignorance. They're going over there with the knowledge that it would be pretty unlikely that a Dolphins star receiver is going to shoot at them near the stadium.
Huh? You know who that is? No? One of the Dolphins star players. Oh, yeah?
That's the F word upon learning that. And to be fair, I don't know if the cops knew that going in. Like, he looks at the ID and says, you know who that is. That's one of the Dolphins star players, which is responded to by a loud F word. This is when all this stuff happened, everyone was saying, let's not rush to judgment. We don't know what happened here. I think a lot of people kind of knew what happened there, especially those that grew up down here and knew everything there is to know about the cop and just had all their biases confirmed in all the doxing that has happened since, from the level of education to probably his friend group and who this person surrounds himself with. This is a problem across the nation. What you saw play out is not just unique to Miami, but also very Miami in the complex of these police officers.
The video that we just saw there was after. The second video was after he had been detained and they were realizing who it is that they had arrested.
Right. Not on the front end. They have his license and they're saying, hey, this is the Dolphin star player.
How about what happened to Jonnu there, which is you have one police officer telling you in a crazy moment where Jonnu doesn't know what's happening. He's approaching, hey, get back in your car, get off. Another cop comes in, undermining the first cop, saying in the extended video, you're dealing with me now. Give me your ID while you're getting back in your car. And Jonnu is literally getting 3 different directions in a half-second span.
He's like, I'm leaving.
And that other cop just tries to keep escalating, saying, you know what, I'm going to put you under arrest too. All this happens within a finger snap, and all Jonnu Smith is doing is literally backing up, trying to understand and saying out loud what he is seeing.
Drew Rosenhaus next. So I want to clarify a couple of things from the last couple of days, because when Jeff Darlington was on with us, I was saying to Darlington, we all know Calais Campbell. All of us know him. He is a gentle giant. And Darlington was quick in that moment to say, well, you don't know when all of that is coming towards you, a giant man. You don't know any of that. And so someone in a threatened situation might find that extra threatening, someone of that size. So I want to make the clarification from back there where I'm saying, well, I know this person. It's hard for me to imagine that person being the kind of enraged, since we've known him since college, that would be the kind of threatening that it might look like.
Originally, the cops did not know who Tyreek Hill was. There's no way they know who Calais Campbell or Jonnu Smith is.
Well, but Tyreek Hill might not look like a football player. There is no misunderstanding that Calais Campbell looks like someone who could play football. So Drew Rosenhaus is with us now, and it's been a long time since I've talked to Drew, and I saw him sweaty in the middle of the field. All of that looked uncomfortable, and also a position that Drew Rosenhaus has been in a few times in front of cameras. So he joins us now. And Drew, thank you for joining us. What can you tell us you know now that you didn't know when you were talking to the media right before the game?
Well, I admire what Tyreek is doing right now, guys. He's in the process of trying to organize a forum discussion with the chief of police of Miami-Dade, anyone else here in South Florida that wants to get involved. Tyreek has said to me, as traumatic as an event as this was, he wants to take this negative and try to turn it into a positive. We talked about all the things that athletes have tried to do over the years, like Colin Kaepernick and others, and to see this type of treatment continue to happen. He's going to take a different tact here and try to meet with some leaders to bring people together to follow the rules, the way that Tyreek said, the rule book, what police are trained to do. That wasn't the case on Sunday. So Tyreek is adamant about being an agent for change. And in talking to the Dolphins, the NFL, Troy Vincent, the senior vice president of the NFL, the Players Coalition, the NFLPA, everyone is behind Tyreek, and there's just a lot of momentum right now to turn this into an example of how we can take a negative and turn it into a positive.
You were careful in the moment not to make any allegations, and what you're saying is that going forward, none will be made because everyone here is trying to now de-escalate this and turn it into a teaching moment versus saying any one of the things that could be said here about a black man being handled poorly by police.
I think, number one, Dan, there's no question that Tyreek wants to improve relationships between the police and society, and to see this type of thing happening, in particular with black people and non-black or Latino or white police officers. This is not, unfortunately, something that is new, but he does want to be an agent of change. Now, that's not taking things off the table by looking to discipline the police officers that were involved here in violating Tyreek and the way that they treated him and Calais Campbell and Jonnu. And there may be litigation and a whole other slew of things. But for now, Tyreek is focused on trying to, rather than necessarily protest as much as try to work together with the police to get this on the right track moving forward. I was amazed after everything that those officers did to Tyreek. He went out of his way to try and shake their hand before he left the scene to go into the stadium. He literally said to them, I want to be a police officer one day. I respect law enforcement. This isn't how it should be done. let's be better. I was with him when he said those things. He showed a lot of poise, and I think he really wants to carry that message moving forward. But it was the reason I was sweating like that is I was running frantically around the stadium to get to him. My client, Jonnu Smith, called me and said, Drew, the cops are beating on Tyreek. They're choking him. They're kicking him. They've got him on the ground in handcuffs. I mean, you want to talk about anxiety, pain, frustration. It was a nightmare. And then all this video's out there. There's zero narrative about what happened to Tyreek. So I was hustling to talk to as many people as I could before the game to get the message out that Tyreek did nothing wrong. Calais Campbell did nothing wrong. And the police involved here were way out of hand.
Drew, does Tyreek have any regrets about the situation?
I have not. I can't speak for Tyreek, but from my perspective, I don't think he should. I don't believe when you look at the video, and I talked to Tyreek about this, that his conduct in any way merited any type of physical force to put him in handcuffs, to yank him out of the car. I mean, how about a little respect? Give him a ticket. If you thought it was a moving violation, give him the ticket. But handcuffs and, you know, the way that they kicked him and hit him and the chokehold, that was mind-boggling. For him to have regrets, he's absolutely the last person that should be regretful. The police officers involved should regret this, and hopefully people are learning from this around the world on how to not be in law enforcement. That's a lesson on what not to do and how to treat people the wrong way.
Drew, how did we get to the handshakes? What stopped all of this from happening? What's happening in the middle here that we don't have access to that gets to the handshakes?
Well, to Tyreek's credit, I was with Tyreek, Drew Brooks, the Dolphins head of security, Brandon Shore, the Dolphins vice president, Tyreek's grandparents, Herman and Virginia Hill, were there. We, Tyreek just settled down and showed a lot of poise and maturity. It was his call to reach out to those officers to tell them to be better moving forward.
Drew, this could have been so much worse. Tyreek could have been injured and seriously injured. And unbelievably, he not only played but was the star of the game with that 80-yard touchdown catch. To make clear, might litigation still happen? Is that still on the table?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tyreek has his attorneys involved that are looking at this to see if that is appropriate. A lot of people have reached out to him indicating that this is something that potentially should merit litigation. That is something that will be determined in the future. But, Greg, I want to go back to your point. I literally just hung up the phone with Tyreek a few minutes ago, and he made the point that you did. It could have been so much worse. He said he could have been shot. He could have been killed. Thank God he didn't resist. Thank God he didn't fight back. Thank God he handled it with the maturity, asking for professionals to help him, and he kept his poise. But what if he didn't? This could have been absolutely disastrous when you see the way these officers were treating him.
Drew,
absolutely feared for his life.
What information do you have today that you didn't have when you were talking to the press? What have you since learned? When did you get access to the body cam video that confirmed or refuted any things that you thought before you saw it?
Well, I mean, when I got there, Tyreek was still in handcuffs, but it was after all this violent stuff. Otherwise, I probably would have been arrested as well, because I would have jumped into the fray here. This is just mind-boggling, just like Calais and Jonnu did. I got there at the tail end where he was still in handcuffs and went over, and the police were trying to push me away. What do I know now? Looking at all the body cam footage, it's absolutely sickening. And Tyreek himself didn't realize, even going through it, how terrible it was. He told me he just couldn't believe this is the kind of thing that you see happening to somebody else. And what if he wasn't Tyreek? What if his director of security, Drew Brooks, wasn't there? What if I wasn't there at the scene? Who knows what this could have turned into?
What if his grandparents weren't there? I can't believe that they were there.
Everything.
Grandparents,
They
fix everything.
Yeah.
Grandparents are they put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Do grandparents fix everything? Like what are you walking into, Drew? You've got all the police officers there. Your receiver, your client is still in handcuffs. This is before the handshakes, and his grandparents are there.
My brother Jason and my partner said to me, Drew, don't get arrested. He knew I was very emotional and I was extremely upset. But fortunately, by the time I got there, the officers had calmed down to the extent that Tyreek was with Drew Brooks. They just had let him out of handcuffs. Tyreek was very poised. But to say that everybody who cared about Tyreek was enraged and livid, including his grandparents, his pregnant wife, who was at this stadium. This was just absolutely, I've been an NFL agent, guys, for 37 years. I've never been involved with something like this. It's mind-boggling. A player is just trying to get to his home stadium to do his job. That's all he was trying to do. And that's basically what he said to the police when they ripped him out of the car. He was just trying to explain what he was doing and why he allegedly was in a hurry. He had a job to do, and he had a game to play. Mind-boggling. Tyreek and I were still talking this morning about how shocking this is, even 48 hours later.
You say no regrets. Was he driving too fast or recklessly?
Not that I'm aware of. He says he wasn't. It's kind of hard to do that in traffic. You look at where he got pulled over, but I wasn't an eyewitness to that. Quite frankly, we were just, relieved that after all of this, he got a speeding, basically a speeding ticket, a reckless driving ticket, and a ticket for driving without a seatbelt. We were concerned the police would try to keep him away or take him into custody. We were quite honestly very relieved, and we'll get that stuff taken care of. But obviously, if he was, that certainly did not merit that type of outrageous conduct. And I know that almost everybody agrees with this sentiment. Tyreek did nothing that deserved the beating that he got and the physical treatment, much less Calais and Jonnu on top of that.
Drew,
it's heartbreaking.
Drew, in the aftermath of this, when everything was settling down at the scene and you were perhaps in the company of the police officers, did you hear anything from them that sounded like apology or regret or we overreacted or we didn't know who it was, anything like that?
Greg, I can tell you that the Dolphins security, which is made up of either retired police officers or off-duty police officers, were just appalled by the way Tyreek was treated. I was at Monday Night Football last night in San Francisco, and I can't tell you how many of the police officers there came up to me and said, hey, this isn't how we do things. This is not something we're proud of. This is not the norm. These guys were way out of line. But none of the police officers involved there showed any remorse or were apologetic. But our goal is to make sure that they are in the near future, that they are disciplined. For the people, the police officers there that kicked him, that put him in a chokehold, that ripped him out of the car, that threw him on the ground, that put their knee on him. We want those officers to be disciplined and to make sure that they never do that again to anybody else who doesn't actually deserve that type of treatment.
What is the discipline you want?
For me personally, I think that police officers that did that to Tyreek shouldn't be in that position. They should be let go. Look at the guy that just kicked him right there. That guy should be fired. That's out of control. The guy that jumped in, put him in a chokehold. There's no place for a police officer to have a badge that operates like that when Tyreek wasn't being aggressive or violent or fighting back in any capacity. That was horrendous how they treated him. They didn't treat him like a human being. There's no place for police officers to be on the force.
Drew, I agree with that. Does Tyreek agree with you, though?
I of course.
He wants them fired.
Of course.
He thinks they should be fired?
Well, I'll let Tyreek speak to that. That's my opinion. He and I have not had that specific discussion, but certainly I would recommend to Tyreek and the legal team that that's something that we pursue. I think he deserves an apology from each and every one of those police officers involved, and the ones that abuse their authority and power should not be on the force, in my opinion, moving forward.
What do you say to anyone who says that Tyreek Hill has to initially be more submissive in that spot and just simply follow orders regarding his window?
Based upon my discussions with Tyreek and the video and everything that I've seen, that's very clear that Tyreek was submissive, that he was cooperating, and to the extent that the police officers didn't feel that his conduct by no means warranted the extreme reaction that they did. I mean, his conversation there. What do I have to do? Give me a ticket. I mean, he's a human being. He has the right to have these discussions. And, to me, again, Tyreek is human. You don't have to be perfect when you're dealing with the police to not get arrested. I mean, at the end of the day, they yank him out of the car. It's absolutely, he's got rights. He's trying to get a hold of the team security director, myself, and look at this. They yank him out of the car, throw him down. I mean, for what? Have a little bit of patience. What does it take? A minute or two to communicate? He's obviously not a threat. There's no instance. You got to put your knee on his hand right there. Tyreek's been dealing with a wrist injury, a sore knee. This guy right there, that's just unnecessary. He's not fighting back. And then they harassed him. They called him a crybaby. Look at Tyreek. He just said, I had surgery on my knee. He had a procedure. He had some injections this offseason, PRP, and this is how they treat a guy? I mean, what if it wasn't a world-class athlete? And here's my client. He's on the phone with me. They're beating on Tyreek. I'm on the other line there. And they're about to arrest him. I mean, that's absolutely, have a little bit of awareness. These are Dolphin players that are trying to do their job. We're at the stadium. You're a police officer. John Who's trying to calm the situation down, and so is Calais. You don't have the poise as a police officer to recognize that it's Tyreek Hill and Calais Campbell. How about a little bit of communication? What happened? We can't just talk things out. You got to suddenly throw a black athlete or a black person in a nice car. You got to throw him to the ground and beat on him? That's absurd.
Drew, you know South Florida, you know Miami. They want the answer to one question. Is the U back?
The answer is yes. Absolutely. They are loaded. This is a talented football team, and they're going to have a great season.
All right.
Drew, good seeing you under weird circumstances. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the time. I know you're very busy right now.
Take care, guys.
Thank you, Drew.
What are we to do with the statement from the Miami Dolphins? Quote, we are saddened by the overly aggressive and violent conduct directed toward our players by police officers before yesterday's game. It is both maddening and heartbreaking to watch the very people we trust to protect our community use such unnecessary force and hostility toward these players. Yet it's also a reminder that not every situation like this ends in peace, as we are grateful this one did. What if I wasn't Tyreek Hill is a question that will carry with resounding impact. We are proud to have a strong and positive relationship with the Miami-Dade Police Department and other law enforcement agencies and recognize that the vast majority of officers do serve the community with the utmost character and desire to protect all citizens. However, as is on full display in the videos released tonight, there are some officers who mistake their responsibility and commitment to serve with misguided power. While we commend MDPD for taking the right and necessary action to quickly release this footage, we also urge them to take equally swift and strong action against the officers who engaged in such despicable behavior. This is going to now escalate when you get the team and the agent and litigation demanding discipline. It can be a more peaceful resolution, but the demand for discipline from these entities will force discipline.
That's exceptionally strongly worded as an official statement from a club. To use words like despicable, that's about as strong as you can get from a team talking against something like this.
Dan Le Batard.
Is there back in my day?
There is actually.
What?
Were you not going to tell anyone?
What?
Wait a minute.
You guys,
Guys, how long have I been doing this
it's
show?
a Tuesday.
Stugotz. Here's your guy, Greg Cote, with Back in My Day.
I hope I have. Okay, here it is. Sorry. Adultery.
We are
back.
That is
Waiting for this one.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
This is how confused and disoriented our beloved friend is on his 70th birthday.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
He just heard a rejoin, and when he heard the Back in My Day music, he said, wait a minute, we're doing that now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's understandable. I heard that tinkling piano, which is my intro. I was scrambling.
Right, but Dan hadn't said a word yet. You didn't realize it was a rejoin. Right?
I don't know.
Happy birthday to you, Greg.
It is funny
yes.
that you still don't know after all these years what we're doing, when we're doing it. That last segment, Stugotz, it was finished. And Stugotz, who sees money, greed, opportunity in every crevice, went out and had to smoke a cigarette because he came back and said, man, that's good for Drew's business. All of it.
Yeah.
If he'd gotten in there and gotten arrested, the shouting, the security guy for the Dolphins also being named Drew so that everyone thinks that, so that every client in the NFL thinks that when Tyreek Hill is getting arrested and is in fear, the first person he has to call is his agent.
Imagine having an agent that's willing to get arrested with you or for you. That is good for business. I mean, is it not? Am I wrong?
You both think that Drew's enjoying all of this.
Oh,
And I don't know if you're wrong.
Part of me believes that he's a little jealous he didn't get arrested too. Yeah. What an image to show clients. I will go to bat for you.
Yes.
You know, there was a working theory here at the office yesterday that was brought up by two different people, and I'm not sure if it's something we should go to air with or not, but I'll bring it to you, and then you guys tell
It's
me
a
if you
good thing
think,
we're not live on air.
Well, you tell me if you think we should take it to air or not.
All right.
So after Jeff Darlington was on, and we started kind of putting things together and noticing Jeff Darlington is always where the athletes are getting arrested, there's a theory floated out there by not one but two production members who said, maybe Jeff Darlington's making the call.
Wow. Inside job.
It does kind of make you wonder, how is he there? And you can control if you're there, if you're someone that's, say, a whistleblower of sorts, but if you're someone that's alerting people, you know you're going to be there.
Let's not go to air with
Okay.
that. Let's
Right.
go
Float it
ahead.
out there.
Theory,
Let's
that's all.
not do
Right.
that.
I feel a little icky making light about this. Like, that video is really, really, really tough to watch. It's pretty horrible what happened.
Oh, you say it's really, really tough to watch, and I say, yes, it's appalling, but also not surprising in any way. Like, it's how I imagined it going. Before I had any information at all on this other than Tyreek Hill has been arrested outside the stadium, that confirms what I already believed without any details now that I have the details. It's one of the things that's sort of startling to me while not being numbing, that's not surprising to me even as it's appalling.
I think the thing that I'm surprised at is that they released the body cam footage this easily. I don't know, Greg, if you know, like, the legal route that maybe they would have had to go to if they didn't put this out right away, but I was surprised because it seemed like right off the bat they did not want this footage out there.
But Jessica, I do believe that what happened here, the police have to behave here because everybody was watching.
Yes.
We all got there before the cover-up could happen. It's the worst place they could have done this. It's surrounded by Dolphin fans. Like, there is no move after this where you lock in and it's like code blue, we're not saying anything. You can't have, look, the police have plenty of power in this market, but so do the Dolphins. Like, this isn't them going up against an individual. This is a statement being released by the Dolphins that's as strong as any sports statement that's been made in this town since Pat Riley told Danny Ainge to shut the fuck up.
But true or false, this body cam footage is way, way, way worse than any of the snippets of videos that fans took before the game.
1,000%. People were saying we got to wait for more details, and then the details that we got in the body cam footage solidified a lot of people's fears.
This is the thing, though. The Dolphin security staff is all ex-cops. Like the people, you have to understand what a powerful thing the police just went up against here. The Dolphins will sniff this out, and your body cam footage will be released whether you want it released or not. So transparency is the way you have to go. It's why the Dolphins are saying, what if it weren't Tyreek Hill? The truth gets out into the light because it's Tyreek Hill.
Well, that's one of the interesting things surrounding all this. The Dolphins invoked something that's basically become a meme on the internet. What if his name wasn't Tyreek Hill? And it's coming from a lot of people surrounding the NFL and a lot of people who I remember their stances on Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick, his whole deal was telling you, what if it isn't Tyreek Hill? And look at how that was received. And look how this is received. It's quite differently. Tyreek Hill now finds himself with a ton of public allies where Colin Kaepernick did not.
A scene like that has to come out every single time. It always has to be shown because it's instructive and it's educational, because there's millions of white people like me who've never suffered that kind of prejudice and that kind of treatment in a traffic stop. And to see a young black guy driving a $200,000 car be put through what he went through, even if he was speeding, is just it's instructive. White people everywhere have to realize that black people go through some of this prejudice and some of this treatment.
But it's also
a lot worse.
It's also white Hispanics. Look, I've been pulled over a couple of times by police here. It's never been an enjoyable experience, despite hands on 10 and 2 being as respectful as possible. The treatment from my experience, speaking direct to my experience with law enforcement officials, they're never really super kind to me.
Right.
And I have to be ultra nice for things. I'm the one in this situation that has to de-escalate when they're the ones apparently trained in this.
Yeah. We can talk about personal experiences, although I really don't want to. I too was arrested for sarcasm. The thing that I would ask you guys, though, is legitimately, are you allowed to be surprised by this? Because it feels like if you're surprised by this video, you have not been paying attention at all to what's been happening in America as we head to another voting cycle. Like, I really asked the question sincerely. Are you allowed? Like, hey, white people, like they ran Kaepernick, they ran him out of the league, like for saying, hey, white people, like, I don't know how surprised you're allowed to be by this video, because Rodney King was a long time ago. Like the lessons of Rodney King. What is that? Is that late 80s?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, early 90s. We should also outline, it's not just white people, it's law enforcement officials. There's a prejudice with law enforcement officials. In this video, from what we can tell, mostly Hispanic police officers. There's a huge issue with policing in this country. There's a huge issue with policing in Miami-Dade County. And I'm hopeful this will bring about change.
But it's worse than it's ever been. If you're following Because Miami, you know that as soon as we got a police chief who wanted to clean it up, they ran him right out of here. It has to be the most corrupt thing there is in policing. The police we have here, when someone gets here with a reputation of I'll fix it, starts to fix it, and they run him out quickly because we're ahead of the rest of the United States on the bad shit that happens down here.
Seeds of progress, though, Dan. This goes totally different 5 years ago. We don't have body cams 5 years ago. Or I was happy to learn that the body cams were on, because that's also something in many high-profile instances of alleged police abuse.
But they had no idea.
One of the defaults
on,
is
right.
we don't have our body cams on. So there have been growing pains along the way, and as sad as this video is, it does mark some progress.
Man, that's some minimum progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're asking to change a lot.
Okay, but I'm tired of baby steps here. Come on, like to salute what I just saw as some sort of progress.
No one's saluting.
Not saluting it, but it baby step or not,
there is progress over the last 5 years in that we have now a video, and the system isn't going to protect itself and just line up
in
behind
this
that
one
thin blue
instance,
line.
if it happens
Well,
to
hold
happen
on.
in an unprecedented fashion to a Dolphin outside a stadium.
Mike, if they knew it was Tyreek Hill when they approached the car, do you think the body cams are on? Do you still think they're on?
I don't know.
It's a fair question, right?
I don't know. I
Right.
don't know enough about it. I just know other instances in which cops did have body cams, and the body cams weren't on conveniently enough.
We still don't even know if these people are going to get punished or not, though, right? Like, I think one of them is on administrative leave, but that we don't know what the repercussions will be, and generally there aren't very many.
Well, I think though, let's think about this for a second, because I think this set of ingredients guarantees it. Because what I'm telling you about the Dolphins and who they have in security make it so if Tyreek Hill wishes to actually de-escalate it from here, he can by saying it's not what he wants. But once we get into Tyreek Hill, the Dolphins, and Drew Rosenhaus pushing the full force of momentum of this is what I want, it becomes something, I guess I would hesitate to guarantee it only because of how much malfeasance I have seen police officers get away with over time, where I think punishment would be obvious. But rarely are they going up against something that is just as powerful as they are, the way that they're going up against it in this one instance.
I thought you three did an exceptional job interviewing Drew, who certainly came to this interview with an agenda, had his scripted plays at the top, and then by the end of it, he was addressing the possibility of suing these officers and already kind of speaking out some of the damages that had already happened. So that was a really good job.
I didn't arrive at they're going to suffer penalty until the later part of that interview, where I'm like, oh, they're seeking like legitimate discipline here.
Potentially, professionally though, the system generally protects these guys, and it doesn't make headlines. But a lot of these people become contractors or find themselves in a related security field, often hired by the police forces that they're suspended from. Yeah, they may end up with the Dolphins. I doubt. I think this one would rule these officers out with the Dolphins, but the system generally protects these individuals that, from all appearances, abuse their power.
The only thing about this whole thing that truly surprises me is that Tyreek Hill was not recognized right away and didn't have a police officer pat him on the back, say, have a good game, and maybe ask for a selfie with him. It's outrageous that they knew who this guy was. Don't get me wrong.
They didn't know originally.
No, it was
okay,
Greg.
But eventually they did, and preferential treatment is not beyond the police, just like abuse of power isn't.
Oh, Tyreek has seen the value in being Tyreek Hill in plenty of brushes with law enforcement and allegations. I mean, he's seen the benefit of that, and it's been this just adds to what has already kind of been a weird and tumultuous offseason for Tyreek Hill. I think it was pretty telling. It was one little snippet, and it was hard to pick up, and I'm going to use the F word here, so let's mark it. But, like, when they get the license and they present it to that officer, and the officer says in one word everything you need to know, fuck. They keep moving on, but right then and there, after they treated Tyreek and his teammates a certain way,
wrong guy.
They find out that information, and they don't really have sympathy for their actions leading up to that point. They feel bad because they just realized, damn it, this is going to come back to our bosses. We just did this to a Miami Dolphin player.
The truth is about to come out is what that realization is in a single word, that there's not going to be a way to slither around the truth getting out in front of everybody, because, honest to God, it is the safest place. That Tyreek Hill's home has been on fire.
Right.
Tyreek Hill is not necessarily safe at home. Didn't something happen in his backyard
with
as
an
well?
Influencer that went down with a knee
injury.
injury.
like this. He is not just merely Stugotz. It's not merely that it's Sunday, it's right before the game, and it's the stadium. It's that the entire Dolphin headquarters is adjacent to that stadium. Like, there is no place that they could do this. The idea that this has arrived in Miami as the Kaepernick extending, echoing story, that it would land literally and physically at their doorstep, and now the Dolphins have to fight for their own. against a police force that is going to get pushed around on where the truth resides, because it's going to be so impossible to cover this up when everyone's seen it.
When you ask, are we allowed to be surprised? I think people would say the only thing they're surprised about is those cops who they're there to protect people who are going to the Dolphins game. That those cops did not know that was Tyreek Hill. That is I'm with Greg. That is shocking to me. They didn't know, and it's why I said yesterday, if you're Tyreek, if they don't know that you're Tyreek Hill right next to the stadium, you have to drive around with your jersey on and a helmet. I mean, you do.
I also think it should be emphasized, this isn't just the Dolphins' best player. This is the guy very recently voted the number 1 player in the entire NFL. That footage we watched is equivalent. Can you imagine if LeBron James is the one down on the pavement being cuffed, or Patrick Mahomes?
He's not the biggest star in the league. He might be ranked on merit.
He's the biggest star on that team.
I agree, but stature-wise, he is a superstar in this sport.
That's not really relevant. No one should be treated that way.
No, you're right, but that's why this is such a big deal to me. That's why 2 days before they're playing the Buffalo Bills in what will probably be their biggest game of the season, we're still talking about Tyreek Hill, because it is that big a deal.
It should be a big deal.
It is deserving of all this.
Because he's famous, though? It's the action. It's not the famous person in the middle of the action.
It's both. If he were a guy who worked as a clerk in a 7-Eleven, the footage would be just as alarming and just as bad, but it wouldn't be getting this kind of attention. It's what happened, and it's to whom it happened.
So you're saying if it had happened with Billy's personal nemesis on the Dolphins, you're saying
Jason Sanders?
If it had been Sanders,
Braxton Berrios?
No, Sanders. If it had been the
Braxton Berrios,
kicker of the, why is that the nemesis of?
I'm just saying, I imagine Braxton Berrios getting pulled over and he's signing autographs and giving out jerseys.
The nemesis of Billy is Jason
I said
Sanders.
that,
He's still going after him on God Bless Football. Let's get the video and audio of Billy still has his eye, even after a 1-0 start, still has his eye on Jason Sanders.
But that's that damn Jason Sanders, and don't get me started on him, the Dolphins kicker, because the Dolphins should have covered that game and they didn't, because he missed another kick. I don't know why he's still on this team. No, we don't need to get into that today.
Billy, he kicked the game winner.
Yeah, he kicked the game winner, and they needed it because he missed a kick earlier, an easy 42-yarder. I'm not gonna say I can kick a 42-yarder because I'm not an NFL kicker, but there's plenty of people that can. They do it on game day. They get high school kids out of the crowd and they do it on game day. Get out of here. Please.
What was the game winner? How long was that?
Irrelevant.
No, it's not.
I think it was shorter. That was long. It was long.
It was a 50+ yarder.
Yeah.
Irrelevant though.
Yeah, he's only
hit him during the game.
Yeah,
we can't continue with this guy. We cannot continue with this guy missing kicks.
Game
that he almost lost.
Right.
You don't get credit.
Billy's been holding on to this for a full season.
No, I know he's
last year. He had the same beat.
Feels pent up.
Listen, it's an odd guy to keep his eye on.
Preseason it was happening too. Someone needs to. I don't know what McDaniel's up to that he's not paying attention, but if I have to be the guy paying attention to him, I will be. We're not getting into this today. We will waste the entire segment talking about this. Let's not do this. Cowboys got a kicker off the street
Brandon
last year.
A soccer guy.
Who has been incredible.
Yes.
Who, by the way, hit a 66-yarder yesterday that was negated by an offensive penalty headed into the half.
Rare is the day we criticize the field goal kicker after he hits a game-winning 52-yard field goal. I mean,
no, you need to.
Crazy.
You need to. No,
that guy gets 10 years usually.
No,
I mean,
no.
Juju, put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Is it the same controversy if Jason Sanders had been the one arrested?
They shouldn't have treated Jason Sanders that way either. But
if
he missed the game,
they shouldn't treat.
You're more okay with him getting arrested?
No, one should be treated that way. But
the answer to your question is no, right? I mean, you.
No, I will acknowledge. Of course, I will acknowledge that the fame of the person involved has something to do with it. But the action to me is larger than whatever the reaction.
How's
is.
Sanders still on this team? Not to do this now and try to derail this.
Yeah, let's not.
Why
Yeah,
is he
let's
still
not.
on this team?
He won them the game.
He almost lost them the game. Enough that he won them the game.
He missed a chippy.
Thank
He
you.
missed an
Thank
easy
you,
one.
Dan. Thank you.
But
Dan,
he hit the one that mattered.
Call for his firing. No, it only mattered because he missed the other one.
Right.
He set himself up. He blew a save to get himself a win. That's not how this works.
He set the house on fire in order to put
He did
out
in the
the fire
preseason
himself.
also. This guy's going to cost them when it matters. You guys keep forgetting that. Guys, eyes on the prize. You need to do it all the time. Just saying, oh, it's week 1. Oh, then he hit a 50 to win. Doesn't matter. We
Then he
need
hit a 50 to win.
consistency. Yeah, we need
That's
a consistency.
something.
No.
Jessica, why do you look so sad?
I mean, I
She
wonder
heard Jason
why.
Sanders' name. That's what it was.
You know what it is right now, though, Billy? I was watching the end of the Dolphins-Jaguars game with my sister and my brother-in-law, who are basically like the equivalent to aliens from outer space when it comes to knowing anything about sports. And I was trying to act like I knew, like I had some insight, and I was like, he's not going to make this. Because I've heard you guys shit on this guy all the time.
It's not you guys.
It's everybody.
It's
Everybody's
Billy.
saying it. You
It's
walk
just
around the
Billy.
streets,
Chris
people pull me aside.
also?
They say Jason Sanders.
Chris?
I'm pro Jason Sanders.
No.
It's just Billy.
No.
But Dolphin fans don't trust him.
They shouldn't.
Well,
I think I could say that.
Sometimes I walk down the street and people say, "Are you wearing a Marlins hat?" And I say, "Yeah," and they go, "Oh, don't the Dolphins play in that
Lewis-
same city?" I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "That Jason Sanders, isn't he really bad at kicking?" I'm like, "Yeah, how'd you know?"
Lewis
one
just
has
told
ever
me that
said
the whole
that.
control room hates
one.
him, and they're all Dolphins
I'll
fans.
admit that he has bad misses on his resume, but he's one of these kickers that you can't fully trust him, but he's a fucking good kicker.
Whoa.
I mean,
Okay.
What happened there?
what is that?
He is.
Anyways, I go, he's going to miss this, and then he drills it, and the whole bar is cheering, and I'm like,
He missed it earlier. That was a long one for him. To his credit, I think he's like 6 of 6 now on like 50-plus yard field goals in
He's
like
great.
game-winning situations.
Yeah,
It's the other ones. He just seems unfocused or something. I don't know what his deal is.
So you could sum me on this. You have 2 kickers. One who handles everything inside of 50 yards, and Jason Sanders
That's
who comes in
fine.
for the long ones.
That's
you know?
fine. He could
Right.
be the kicking closer, but we need like a kicking middle reliever or something. Because this guy, between the first quarter and the fourth quarter, is a nightmare.
I give Billy credit for zigging when others zag.
Who?
For timing his criticism of the place kicker right after he has kicked a game-winning field goal. Anybody can criticize him after he's the GOAT of a game.
Thank you, Greg.
But it takes a man's man to criticize after a game-winning field goal. Or a woman's woman.
Exactly.
As the case may be.
No discrimination.
thank you for the clarification.
Kick, save, and a butte.
Well, which would it be? Like, why is it a man's man or a woman's woman?
It
or
can
it's
be
a-
either.
Either or.
Okay.
Why does it have to be one
Yeah.
or the other, Dan?
Well,
Jeez.
well, he made it man's man, and then it seems like he just corrected it to woman's woman, and I don't feel like I've ever heard that phrase before.
No, I just made it up.
Greg, how's your birthday going so
I
far?
invented it. It's going fantastic. My wife and I are staying home tonight. We're watching the debate on TV. We're going to do something special for dinner. It's a nice day for me so far.
You're
despite
watching the
my
debate?
hellish ride here.
That
What?
sounds like not a super nice night. The debate.
Old people love that shit.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Old people do love that shit. And I'm old now. I can't deny it anymore.
Now?
So you think a wonderful way to celebrate your 70th birthday
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
is to romantically get together with your wife, settle in around a presidential debate that promises to be horrifying because at least one of the participants has settled deep into dementia.
Yes. Yeah. But only one.
At least
Hell
one.
yeah.
Yeah. At least
Improvement.
one. No, she and I had the romantic nice dinner a few nights ago. And now, last night we go out. I can't watch the Monday Night Football game on my own TV because of this Netflix thing. So we went out and watched
Direct
it.
TV?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
You can't
Netflix.
watch. What's happening?
He has DirecTV, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and we found out.
Why'd you mention Netflix?
I don't know.
Potato,
whatever.
potato.
You don't know
Move
how to
along.
find the football game, or you do not have a television that can bring you ESPN tonight?
Well, what happened was, this is embarrassing to admit. My wife and I are watching the first half in a local unnamed restaurant, and the game is on, and we figure out, actually she figured it out, I didn't, that the whole time the game was on ABC.
Correct.
And she's thinking it wasn't. She's thinking that because of this strike or whatever the conflict is, that we couldn't watch the game at home.
But you're looking for it on Netflix?
Wherever she finds it.
Right.
You know, she does all the channels and everything.
To him, all streaming is Netflix.
Yes.
No, I mean, I just, 4, 7, and 10. Let's get back to simple channels.
That
So
makes
did-
sense.
Did you go out for dinner so you could see the game because you couldn't get it at home? Because I had to tell my wife the same thing. Hey, it's on ABC.
Oh, dear God.
I know, but we didn't figure it out in time.
So you couldn't wait a minute. Monday Night Football
Right.
tonight. You're going to go looking for it on Netflix?
No, I misspoke when I said Netflix. I was going to go looking for it on wherever it is that's feuding in this, back and forth between the two entities. I don't keep track of all that stuff.
Okay, I'm sorry. So Monday Night Football last night is what I meant.
Last night, yeah.
You just could not find it.
We found it in a local bar.
All right.
You often find happiness in a local bar, don't you?
Right. And later, we found out that we could have been home all the time.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Do you often find happiness in a local bar at Le Batard Show?
Did you stay till like 11:45 when it ended?
No, we just stayed to watch the first half, and then we came home, and she went to bed, and I stayed up for the whole game because I don't want to complain, and I don't want to bitch about fantasy. If you're not into fantasy football, you don't want to hear this. But I needed 10 points from the 49ers defense to win that game.
You got it?
And no, I had it, and then in the last minute, Tyrod Taylor,
he'll do that to you.
In garbage time, is throwing a touchdown pass and costing me the victory. It's an outrage. Garbage time. They shouldn't even allow those useless points in fantasy. I should have won that game. I may protest it to my league.
Miami PD just sent out a tweet at 10 a.m., which suggests this was a scheduled tweet with an image there, Billy, that plays on Fast and the Furious that says, going fast puts lives on the line. Speeding is much more than breaking the law. The consequences, greater potential for loss of vehicle control, increased stopping distance, increased degree of crash severity.
Well, help me with what is going to happen next here. Are there indeed, because I've seen this, but I don't know how valid the reports are, in watching how people are reacting to getting behind the police here on that video, I remind you again, the divisions in America run deep here. I have seen people who will politicize anything already say he was driving 100 miles an hour. And so I don't know what's true.
Jonathan Isaac of the Orlando Magic, always a good faith commenter, has come out in support of the police officers, saying this video should be shown how black men should not be treating the police.
I don't know what is true and what's not true on this side of things, but the police, if they're going to defend themselves against Drew Rosenhaus, Tyreek Hill, and that Miami Dolphins statement, and they're going to choose division, because Drew came on here, Rosenhaus came on here talking about not escalating it, but it gets escalated when you're talking about we want those officers disciplined, and if the police get their back up and decide we're going to start our part of the campaign now, and it's true that he was driving 100 miles an hour, which I've not seen verified anywhere. But Drew and Tyreek Hill are saying, I did nothing wrong. I regret nothing. I would like to know what the truth is there before it gets politicized.
In the body cam footage, it's still unclear as to what the offense was from Tyreek Hill. I was actually hoping for some clarity on that. And Tyreek asked kind of, and we don't really get an answer. So I'm not exactly sure what still caused all this.
Drew did make a good point when he said, if you've been around that stadium at that time, right before a game on University Drive, essentially, it's impossible to get your car to 100 miles per hour.
It's not easy around there. It is a crowded area, but not as crowded at 10 a.m.
Yeah. I think it's important to note that he was ticketed for reckless driving and speeding. And I have heard no one, including Drew Rosenhaus, dispute that and say, we're not going to pay those fines. We're not going to pay a ticket. He shouldn't have gotten that speeding ticket. The whole issue is what happened afterward. Okay, not that he was speeding and was ticketed for it, but what happened afterward, where all of a sudden he's face first on the asphalt being cuffed behind his back.
This is
behind the bit.
This is behind
the bit. This is behind
the bit.
For the past 20 years, you've seen and heard bits on the Dan Le Batard Show. You may have wondered to yourself, what are these bits? And what's wrong with these people?
And what comes over me when my head falls to the table was Mike Ryan saying, I'm sure this is exactly how Valerie would have wanted everyone to get the news that you are marrying her.
What? Wow.
Wait a minute.
Quite the scoop.
Greg Cote of the Miami Herald has put in the Miami Herald that a lifelong bachelor, Dan Le Batard, he's put this in the Miami Herald. What does the article say?
There is major personal news for ESPN's Dan Le Batard. He's been keeping it secret. Here it is. That's the headline.
There is his son, of course, laughing harder than anybody at what a jerk, a journalist, jackass his father is.
One of South Florida's most steadfastly unmarried men, a guy People magazine once called one of America's most eligible bachelors, is available no more. Dan Le Batard is off the market. Wow. The popular Miami-based ESPN radio and television host, who just signed a 4-year contract extension with the network.
He's covering me like an athlete.
Why is he talking about you like he doesn't know you?
He's covering me like an athlete.
Le Batard, former Miami Herald sports columnist, has not yet announced his engagement publicly on either of his ESPN platforms.
Stugotz just texted me congratulations.
That's a big day.
Stugotz just texted me congratulations right now while sitting next to me and hearing this story.
Sources close to the couple tell us Le Batard popped the question during a recent vacation in Kenya and Tanzania.
No!
A safari organized by Zoo Miami's Ron McGill, a weekly regular on Dan's radio show.
No!
Dan met Valerie, a lifelong Miamian, 2 years ago, noticing her walking through a restaurant at which his parents, Gonzalo, Poppy, and Lourdes, were celebrating their 49th wedding anniversary. Dan is 49, by the way. His bride-to-be is 29. Your best wishes and or snarky comments go here.
Unbelievable listening to it back that he did that.
Is it?
It remains, yes, it remains unbelievable. I can't, look at my expression there. I can't be mad at that person no matter what he does.
What he did was he did his job, okay? That's what a journalist does. He takes his friend's private information and he shares it with the world. That's what he does now.
No, that's not journalism. It's a betrayal. It's an outright betrayal.
I've never been prouder of Greg Cote.
What's the matter with you, dude?
What do you mean? I reported the truth. Very accurate. Super duper accurate. And
Stunningly
detailed.
accurate.
And a lot of details.
A lot of detail. And
the
a
magic
total
is in the
betrayal. Yes. Well, the magic is in the betrayal. It's not in the details. This is how it all came out.
Right.
I was learning right here, and look at my face frozen on the screen now. Does it seem like I'm enraged? Look at me.
Stu, did you know beforehand, or were you really finding out there?
I had no idea. No, Greg broke the news to me. That's why I congratulated Dan via text. I was happy for him.
And listening back to it, I realized, because I hadn't seen the video, that Stugotz was congratulating me by text while sitting right next to me.
Of course.
I thought he was texting in from elsewhere when I was just hearing the audio.
In the room, how upset was Dan really?
Oh, he was pissed. And a lot of that pissiness kind of was on behalf of Valerie because, if you're a man, if you're a semi-famous man and you want to surprise people about this, engagement, your friend who also works in newspapers should not be unveiling said surprise without your permission. And that's what happened.
Did you have any idea your dad was going to write that article?
No clue. I knew that he wanted that scoop because I think he knew that it was coming, but no. I remember seeing it come across our Twitter, me and Billy, because Billy in that clip explains, hey, something just happened. I can to this day remember the feeling of, oh my God, he did it. I started getting selfish. I started worrying about my job. I was like, this is big. My dad may have just cost me my job. You remember that? I remember texting you.
Yeah, oh yeah, you were panicked.
Terrified.
You were
I'm just
panic-stricken.
Did he give you, I was trying to get him, unveil that it was all a bit. I'm like, please tell me Dan let you do this or something. He's just like, no, I just went with it. I'm like, oh my God.
I think my thinking at the time was, I knew I was revealing it to the general public, but I assumed that Dan had already informed everyone in his inner circle privately.
I'm sweating just thinking back to that day.
Okay, well, you survived it, kid.
Greg, do you think the reason that you're more willing to go for it is you trust in your relationship with Dan?
No, I try to strike that balance. I know my friendship with Dan is long enough and deep enough to survive something like this. And honestly, I think he genuinely was shocked and initially upset that I did this. But I think some of it after that became a little bit of show shtick. You know, I think he was upset genuinely and surprised.
I think he was pretty upset.
Does Greg often go rogue?
Not like that. He's never done that. But here's the worst part of it. He was rewarded for it.
He
Got
was.
more clicks than any story he's ever written. That somehow is the biggest news story Greg Cote has ever broken. No joke.
Know your friends, man. I mean,
Come
it's your
on,
fault. You told
man.
Greg. What'd you expect Greg to do with that when you told him? You know him. He's your best friend.
I did not expect him to put it in the newspaper.
I did.
Because it's a betrayal.
So many clicks, though.
And that too. Yeah. No, it was good for business on my end. And I've never denied that. I said earlier that, the Le Batard Show is sort of a beat that I cover in a way. What Dan does is newsworthy to my readers.
That it was the birth of you becoming a click whore.
Well, that
ever since then, you've just been, what can I write? Like, you saw the clicks from the proposal thing, from the engagement.
Yeah.
And you just, since then, what can I write that will get the most clicks?
How did Valerie take it?
She found it funny. She generally finds very funny whenever I'm the butt of the joke. That's one of her favorites.
And Billy's.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You're still married, right?
What is that?
Well, it proves that I didn't throw a wrench into the whole thing. I mean, everything worked out great. You're welcome, I could say. I mean,
Thank you. So I should be thanking you for betraying me.
I saved you the stamps on sending out the message to everyone that you probably would have emailed. I don't know how you would have broken the news if it weren't for me. You probably would have said it on the air. What's the difference between me reporting it in the Miami Herald and you mentioning it on the show?
What
I
is
scooped
the
you.
difference?
That's why you're sore. I scooped you.
No, it would have been nice for my wife to be able to tell people the way that she wanted to tell people.
Oh, but she knew. It's not like I surprised her with the news.
Yes, she did know.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You didn't surprise her.
Yeah, so?
You simply betrayed her as well.
Yeah,
yes,
but,
you didn't surprise her. You also surprised her in betraying her, but you didn't surprise her that we were engaged.
True. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a betrayal. I think that's a little strong.
What's the word you would use?
Just reporting the news. In this case, I was happy to break the good news. The good news involving one of my best friends and a lovely bride-to-be. I was happy to break that news, very proud that I did. And you were sore at first, but, you've gotten over it. Our friendship survived.
You enjoyed writing that last sentence.
Dan is 49, by the way. His bride-to-be is 29. Your best wishes and or snarky comments go here.
I did enjoy it though. It was a nice little touch. You want the dismount to be a little humorous and so that worked for me. Yeah, because it did read sort of like a news story, and it read like Christopher said, it read like I was writing about someone who I didn't even know, let alone was good friends with. So we had a little tweak, a little smirk at the end there.
A little, really as fine a work as you have ever done. All things considered.
You know what? That may be an exaggeration, but I'm going to take it. It's probably one of the most noteworthy. That and my Trade Marino call are probably the two things that, and calling Connor McDavid overrated. That's my gold, silver, and bronze. So we're pretty happy about that.
Do you guys not trust Greg now?
It's getting to the point where we're going to have to feed him fake news to avoid any of these things happening again.
Did you know Chris was going to have this reaction, Greg?
No, but he tends to be a little panicked whenever anything like that comes. I could name a myriad of other things I've written where he gets a little nervous and, just a million examples. When I reported that Stan Van Gundy's wife had passed away, he didn't want me to do that either. even though it was newsworthy and became big news. But he's a little nervous when it comes to stuff that he thinks might make Dan upset.
Imagine that. He's my boss.
All right. Well, he's whatever. We all survived it. It's okay. They're happily married, thanks to me. No, I'm not taking any credit. Don't worry about that. And ultimately, I don't think I would have just betrayed what he wanted or didn't want me to do. I didn't tell him. But honestly,
Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Okay, I haven't asked for forgiveness.
A happy 70th birthday to Greg Cote. He has decided on this day to give us the gift of a Back in My Day. It is a sort of fresh Back in My Day. He's going to read one from his book as a thanks for all the support so far. We've got dueling book promotions right now because Greg's book will be out October 29th.
Couple of books, cutting it up.
And he'll read one more Back in My Day next week if the book cracks the top 100 of all books on Amazon, which seems like a big ask.
Ultimatum. A big ask.
Wow.
And if the book, by some miracle, gets to be the #1 overall book on Amazon, then there will be some giveaways like signed copies, shirts, maybe even an invite to his party. So he's actively trying to bribe people to buy his book to get an invitation to his 70th birthday party.
Yeah. That has to be vetted by my wife.
Right.
She hasn't quite agreed to that yet. She's in charge of the guest list. So if you're not invited to my party, and I know you, blame her. If you're invited to my party and you really don't want to go, blame her as well.
Isn't that in like 2 weeks? So people need to act fast on this.
Yeah, they need to act fast. Buy books. They're on pre-order. Back in my day, and that kind of thing.
Well promoted, as always, just petered out. We will get to a sort of fresh Back in My Day from that book. He wrote 3 of them. We will get to the promoting of Stugotz's book, which finally has words in it.
Yes.
I see a book with words in it.
Yep. Not many of them are mine, but there are words in that book.
This is evidently a gift. There are not many copies yet, and this is a...
Well, it's something called a galley, Dan. I know, like, you wouldn't know that. You're not an author. You're not a writer. I am. It's called a galley. That is a book they sent to me. They sent me 10 copies, and they asked me to hand them out to people who are very special in my life. And so because it's Greg Cote's 70th birthday, I wanted to give the first one to Greg Cote, who wrote a chapter in this book and also announced that right now, starting right now, if you go to StugotzBook.com and you pre-order, you will get 2 bonus chapters of my personal record book.
Wait.
And if you already ordered a different pre-order, we will honor that as well. You just have to fill out the form at StugotzBook.com and you get 2 bonus chapters courtesy of me. How about that?
So you had 2 people write chapters for your book that aren't included in versions of the book?
Well, they're my takes. Yeah. So we had bonus chapters. It's a bonus chapter. It's a pre-order incentive, Billy. You know what I'm saying? StugotzBook.com.
By the way, also, does that book have any marking on it, like pre-published, anything? Because
it says on it, advance uncorrected proofs. And it says on sale 11/26/24.
Called the galley.
Don't give away the galleys. If there's only 10 of those, they're more valuable. Sign those and sell them for more money.
I understand, but Greg means a lot to me. It's his 70th birthday.
Thank
I
you.
want his book to do well. I want my book to do well. I want both of our books to do very, very well. And I wanted to give the first copy to Greg Cote. He contributed to the book.
I think you make a deal here. You give him one of your galleys for one of his galleys, and then you still have 10 galleys you can give away.
A galley swap.
Yeah, a galley swap.
Yeah.
I don't have a galley yet.
Cutting it up. I see there's another gift in here as well for Greg.
Yes.
There seem to be some lotto tickets here.
It's Mega Millions. I believe it's 800 million. I spent $100 on Greg. It's tonight, by the way. $100 on Greg for his birthday.
Very nice.
And I will tell you, if you win, 80-20 my way.
Check the date on those, Dano, because those could be old lotto tickets.
I got him yesterday.
I know, but make sure it's the draw that's for today.
It's the draw for tonight.
80-20?
50-50.
Wait a minute. It says here 9/9 of 23.
Yeah, when's the drawing? Tonight.
That is yesterday.
Listen, if you know Mega Millions, it's Tuesday and Friday.
It's 24 is the year.
Man.
Unbelievable.
Damn it, Stan.
Well, anyway, the book is real. There are words in it. I saw writing that is real in that. I'm reading actual
Real words.
Actual writing. It's not by Stugotz. It's by other people.
My
but,
thoughts.
They are not, well, I didn't read any thoughts of his. I read Andre Dawson's thoughts. But
that was great. Hawk.
Greg, what are you doing?
I was looking for my chapter. But,
Can you read us the table of contents? That might be a good tease.
It's a long table of contents.
What is that?
It's a sizable book, worth every penny of it.
But this, I can't believe we've gotten this far. The book now exists in some form, and I will read a couple of the things. Chapter 16, evidently, is The Compiler.
The Compiler.
That's all you know about it?
That's it.
That's a good tease. It could be about anyone. That's a good
literally
tease.
all he wrote on it.
That's all he knows. Yeah.
Table of contents.
Jeter?
Yeah,
That's the whole chapter.
Do you know anything about your
Derek
own,
Jeter,
own
yeah.
books,
Yeah.
Stugotz?
You wrote a great forward. Stan Van Gundy contributed. Tim Kirchin, Greg Cote, Mina Kimes, Scott Van Pelt, Who's Who, and Andre Dawson.
Did Taylor write any of this book?
Nah, he didn't.
He's a Jeter guy.
Chapter 8 is Point Fraud.
Gotta let you know that.
Ooh, the Chris Paul chapter?
Yes. Yeah, good.
I think you guys will do a better job guessing than Stugotz what these chapters are about.
I didn't name the chapters. That wasn't, I
Did
wasn't
you
in
do
that meeting.
anything?
Well, yeah, listen, I've been signing things nonstop. I have, what's it called? Carpal tunnel or something like that? I mean, I am signing
Do you
on.
really?
Yes.
Oh, man. How are you playing golf?
I don't know. Well, I'm not. I have thousands of things
I
to
think
sign.
when
It's
your hand
ridiculous.
starts hurting from writing, that doesn't mean you have carpal tunnel syndrome.
Well, what does it mean?
It
Just means your hand is sore, man.
Just means I'm putting my hand to use.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Chapter 17.
Doozy.
What is it?
You tell us.
Not going to take a quiz. The truth will set you spree.
Spreewell.
What did you write that was Spreewell related?
You got to buy the book, Dan. I don't want to give it away.
He has
okay?
no idea what's in his own book.
StugottsBook.com. You pre-order, you get 2 bonus chapters. One about Caitlin Clark. How about that?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Topical.
Who wrote the rebuttal to Caitlin Clark?
No rebuttals on the bonus chapters. None.
Well, the bonus chapters aren't appearing in the book.
They're bonus chapters.
Yeah, that's
if
why
you
they call
if
them
you
bonus.
buy the book today, you get 2 additional chapters that no one else
Are
is
you
going to
just
get.
going to email people? They're not in the book. The 2 bonus chapters aren't in the book.
I'm not certain how Random House is going to do it, but they've done this before, Dan. So I'm told, and so they have it figured out.
A
you know?
leaflet, maybe, like a newsletter?
Perhaps.
Are you doing an audiobook? Like, are you reading
I am
them?
doing an audiobook
Are you,
eventually.
you doing the audiobook?
It will have my voice on it, yes.
Oh, you still didn't commit. Are you using AI to dub your audiobook?
No.
You just said it will have my voice.
How do I do that?
Somebody will do it for him. Maybe it'll be Chad GPT. Jessica.
Chad?
I want to talk about this commemorative coin the ACC has put out. Have you seen this, Stugotz? Because I can't.
That's tails.
I can't.
Can we zoom in a little bit, video team? Okay, Eric Wood posted this yesterday and said it was a coin given to one of his buddies after the coin toss at the Louisville game. And I said, is this real? And he said yes. So we're going with that. That's my reporting for the day. Apparently this was the coin they used in the coin toss. And if you look closely, you can see the asshole.
I mean,
Yeah.
Wow.
That is a culo, Dan.
Yeah.
It does look like an asshole, but it also it looks like something pornographic.
It has to be like an optical
I
illusion
gotta
where
tell
it's
you-
actually something else and we're all just looking at it wrong.
That
but no,
looks-
it's
That looks like female genitalia.
for the audio audience, Dad. Why don't you paint the picture?
You
of
don't
what
have to
we're
rub
seeing here?
that portion, video team. I'm not really sure
paint-
what you're doing.
Paint the picture, Dad.
I don't
Weird.
even want to look at that picture, that coin.
Let's zoom out.
How
a
is
little.
this real?
It shouldn't be.
Well, like, what is this supposed to be?
So it's if you flip it upside down, it's a guy snapping
Oh.
a football.
There you go.
It's still pornographic.
Makes sense. Yeah.
It's still bad.
That is somehow worse.
Why are we seeing the crack of his ass?
That's a good question.
I
Jessica-
legitimately thought it was legs up in the air.
Guys, I see.
Wait, really?
That's the goalpost off in the distance?
We got it,
Yeah.
guys.
All
We
right.
got it.
No,
Video
I think you
team.
could zoom in a little bit further.
Huh.
If you're listening to this right now and you can't see it, I retweeted it yesterday. It's a sort of like a embossed coin with what appears to be a football player snapping a football, but it's a angle shooting up from underneath the turf into the grundle area. So it's very graphic. And I think you're right, Stugotz. That is supposed to be a goalpost. However, this was apparently tails, and it looks like an H, which is also very confusing. And another reason why I don't think this coin is very useful.
One of the funny things about this is that we showed it, and I encourage the audio audience to go find this on YouTube because of how funny this is. What you initially showed me, Jessica, because I also didn't know that it was upside down, I thought it was some sort of ram of some sort ready to have sex. Like a ram.
Talk us through that real quick.
Yeah, let's.
Like Matthew Stafford?
The Rorschach test.
The head of the ram. Do you not see the horns?
Maybe put it on the big board behind Dan, and he can walk.
I thought it was
That's a
sort
good
of.
idea, Billy.
Is the
Illustrate
football
it.
the head of the ram in this picture for
Yes,
you?
I see. Yes, I see a sort of a Greek mythological ram of some sort that is really ready, legs up in the air for either gynecology exam or
no stirrups though.
Easy for you to say.
or just getting ready for legs thrown up in the air, not in stirrups, getting ready for sex. That's what I saw.
Is this coin white and yellow for everyone, or blue and black?
Dan, there's a picture behind you on the big video board if you want to sort of show us what the horns are.
Well, tell
Yeah, take us through it, Dan.
Yeah.
He's walking to the board.
That's the horn.
That's the
That's
horn.
the horn.
That's the football, yeah.
Football. That's. It's not.
No.
No.
I don't.
It is, and some people can't find what you're looking for.
It's just I don't see a bull.
Yeah, it's just.
I gotta be honest. I see a clit.
I think that's the penis.
I see Kermit the Frog now somehow.
Good on you for finding it, though, Mike.